there is no lack of information out there, right?
No.
The information is there, it's free, right? And there's a lot of it, right?
That's where the confusion lies, because people take everything to apply it to themselves.
And I think that's a good segue actually into what Michael and I were talking about yesterday, trying to help people understand the whole concept of the club, right?
Yes.
Because there is no lack of information out there, right?
No.
The information is there, it's free, right? And there's a lot of it, right?
That's where the confusion lies, because people take everything to apply it to themselves, but you have to take the part that speaks to you and then act on those sections of the whatever, immigration, employment, settling in Canada, whatever it is, and apply it to your personal scenario.
Mm-hmm. And that is where the coaching and the consulting comes in, because with the sea of information out there, especially since they're adding more and more immigration programs, right? You can be looking at 5 different immigration streams. And if you're not focused on the one that actually applies to you, or that is the most beneficial to you, or that is the most one that you're most eligible for through coaching or people who know, then you could be swimming around for a year or even more, right? And I've seen people like maybe they face a rejection or whatever, and they're swimming around, treading water, trying to figure it out on their own. There is a lot of information out there, and we've made the mistakes. We've gotten it right. Minerva has helped hundreds of clients. We've all collectively have helped thousands of people.
Yes.
And that's the benefit of getting the coaching, because there is no shortage of resume courses. There's no shortage of how to move to Canada. There's no shortage of information out there. But what the problem is that too much information.
That's what hurts you.
It's harmful to what we call the Canadian dreamer, right? And is that, too much information and not knowing how to navigate it is the problem. And it's the problem that we're fixing with this collaboration and the club, and then through coaching and consulting. It's just like, how do you now weed through the information and just leave what is relevant to you, including finding a job, right? Because then you could, like me, if I was at dinner table, there would be roast chicken, marshmallows, soup, like unrelated food in terms of my background and my experience, right? And that's something Michael pointed out to me in my resume, because like, what are you though? Are you a project manager? Are you a graphic designer? Are you like, what are you? And it's the same thing when we're going out there and looking for jobs too. It's just like, there's no focus, because we ourselves are not focused. And that's where the coaching and the consulting comes in, because there is no shortage of jobs. There's no shortage of information, but what there is lack of direction, or lack of focus, or lack of guidance as to how to navigate the tools and the information.
Right. Because you may have experiences in a lot of fields, but look to what the job is asking for. That is what you'll put your experience and your qualification for. So it doesn't matter if you have over 10 different expertise. If you are to speak to the one that it is asking you for, and don't add all of those other things. It's just going to be garbage.
Add a chicken or marshmallows. Not all of them, right? Yeah. Michael, I don't know if you want to chime in on that.
Oh, well.
Did I take it all? Sorry.
Mainly, I think it's basically like, the total information is basically nothing else than the total lack of information. Because as you said, like if it's too much, it's basically like having no information at all, because it's so overwhelming that it's basically like becomes a lottery, and you have like, there's one option out of a million is the right one for you. Yeah, but the chance that you pick by chance to pick the right one, and it can be about the job, it can be about the right immigration program or whatever, all the little things. So if you have 3 options, it's easy to research, and you will probably figure out which is the right one. But if there are thousands, and especially, there are combinations of them. So it's not just 1,000, it's like probably 10,000 of combinations that you can do like this, combined with that, that is basically making it so so difficult, because, and it's mean, because everyone says, look, you know, there's so much, this is all there for you, like, isn't that enough? So, you know, so then the Canadian
we come
government
in to navigate now and say, this is what is the right pathway for you.
so, you know, then the Canadian government says, okay, apparently it's not enough, so let's add more programs to it.
And you know what?
And
I learned this part, not to cut you, Michael. When I was doing my immigration course, I learned never quote anything from the IRCC website. If it's not quoted from the act, or if it's not quoted from the regulation, we won't look at your assignment. Reason being is that the IRCC website is there for information, and it's written by agents who have actually looked on applications and see where useful pieces of those applications could be useful for anybody that's trying to apply for themselves, right? So they are actually written not by the immigration laws, but it's written by experience. And so that's why there's a wealth of information there. But what does all of that information have to do with your situation? No, that's when you need a Christina, you need a Michael, you need a Minerva to navigate you and say, okay, based on our experiences and the laws of the immigration, this is the how you should approach going through this process.
Well,
Yeah.
basically, what we want to do together for the club members is, instead of giving them 10,000 pages of valuable information, they get, you know, if they go through the right aspects with us, and we provide the webinars and all the resources, you basically in only a short amount of time, you get a tiny little map that shows the way you have to go. Not 10,000 pages. You get one piece, and where there are basically a few things you need to do, and you need to get right in order to make it. So, and this is basically, so the value we provide is not the plethora of information. It is the reduction of it to what's really relevant to the very specific in the situation of the individual. So this is what we do, and this is what you don't get anywhere else. Anywhere else, you get more and more and more and more information.
Especially if it's free.
Until you give up. You know, they throw
Especially when it's
information,
free.
yes, free. Yeah, free is even worse. So until you give up. So the idea is not to get more information. The idea is to get less and less, but more and more of the right aspects. So we basically we want to, our aim is to give everyone their individual little map, and it shows your road to Canada is not very difficult. These there are 10 steps you need to get right, and because of that, it will also be the cheapest option, because you will only pay if there's money involved. And it may be a good idea to pay for someone like Minerva, for example. That may be a very wise investment, which means it is cheaper than doing it any other way. So, but this total investment is the minimum in terms of all other options. So this would also be the cost optimized way, because doing it any other way would cost you more money, either because you work with the wrong people, or you waste too much time and you lose it this way. So this is the idea that we want to achieve. So therefore it is important not to come to one Q&A session or the resume webinar or whatever. It's important to come to all the things we provide in order to basically create your personal map, or complete it more and more, and be on the way. And then, of course, we'll still be there to guide you through the process, but it makes no sense to go on this journey without having created your little map in the beginning. So this is what the club is about, and this is what you basically can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, and yeah. In a nutshell. Oh, look, we have somebody else who just joined the club, and I think that she would benefit from this webinar. She might have to watch it. How much longer do we have? About
40 minutes.
Join the club. Let's see if we can. I know that she needs a map. Yeah, let me see if I can get through to her.
So you see, like the moment you become a member, you're kind of sucked into the running webinar.
Yeah, like, well, this is what we're doing. This is what we do, right? Because there's no shortage of information. What there is lack of direction, right? So,
but what reminds me of another aspect. One side is the expert advice, creating your map, and so on. The other thing is, of course, it's called a club because it's supposed to be a club. So it's ideally, over time, it should definitely develop into a two-way conversation or a multi-conversation. So it would be helpful, or I would really like it if the club members would also interact with one another. So if they share their experience, tell us and others what worked, what they're struggling with, and basically support one another as much as possible. Because I think some things you need to hear from someone who is in the same situation, rather than just from the experts, although all three of us are immigrants ourselves. So we know what we are talking about. We have been, this is not theory, we have been in situations like that and several times. So we know what you're talking about, including myself. I've lived in several countries, so I know all of that. But still, I think for this particular situation, it would be sometimes it may more resonate if someone else who is at the same place. And I'm also in Jamaica, and I had this issue, and this is the way I figured it out. I understood it, and I fixed it. It's sometimes more helpful if it's someone who is closer by than the experts, who are always so smart and know it all. That is sometimes not as convincing as if you have someone who's just gone through not everything, just that, but that is relevant to you. So we would like to establish that. So of course we are very open to hear what kind of offers people would believe to need the most. I mean, of course we have a good idea because we see what people struggle with.
Yes.
So we will create offers to handle that and to discuss that.
Yeah,
it's good because a lot of things do come from experience. One person may walk this way, another person may walk another way, but sharing that information among themselves could help each other.
And I think day 4 of the summit will be a little taste of that too, because then we'll have a panel of people who came here through different
yes.
So whether it's express entry, provincial nominee, you'll hear from different ones.
Well, this is, by the way, this is also a reason why Canada is so attractive. Same applies to the US, that it's a country of immigrants. So you have a higher number of people who have gone through exactly that before, or their parents. They experienced as children. They watched their parents struggle with that. And they watched their parents not giving up and going through that and making it. If you build a country with people like that, then of course, the chance that you apply for a job with a company and the manager who can relate to that, of course, is much higher than in a country that has basically no foreigners, no expats. So this is also a reason that people can relate to and understand that the situation of an expat, of an immigrant, is not that simple, not that easy, and sometimes really tough, because one way, either themselves or within the family or within their circle of friends, they have seen it. So they appreciate it more, and they are probably more willing to give those people a chance than someone who simply cannot relate to how it is to leave your country and move to another. So, and that is, of course, like you can always be lucky wherever you are in the world. But if you have a country that was built with people with this kind of background over 200, 300 years, then of course, that makes a difference. This is another good reason, or one of the good reasons why Canada is such an attractive place for immigrants, because you know you will meet people who can relate to you
every day. The story doesn't start and end with you. Somebody is always, you go through it today, somebody goes through it tomorrow. And majority of the time, the stories are identical. So everybody can relate to your situation.
And the good thing is, it's people who may actually be, who came from a completely different part of the world.
Yes.
Who still can relate to you, because there are so many similarities.
Similarities with the situation.
That they can still relate to. So it may be like a Chinese person who is interviewing you for the job, but they had to go through. So although Chinese and Jamaicans is a very different culture, but in that situation, at that moment, you're actually very much the same. So you know what you're talking about, you understand each other. And that, of course, is for the job search, is in favor of the applicants. So this because the chance that you speak with someone who can relate to the specialty of your situation is higher than in other countries that have not so many foreigners. Because people may be nice, but they cannot really relate to your situation. They only know there are people in their country, in their culture, and you are a foreigner, and they may be nice to you, but they don't understand it. In Canada, you have the chance that actually people can relate to it much better. And that's one of the reasons why you also stand a better chance to integrate yourself and to be happy there, because you want to be understood. And you don't want to stick out forever.